Hi everybody, welcome to Gulf Business Academy. Mark Dickinson with you, and today I'm really excited to take you into the world of public relations. A lot of times we hear about public relations and we wonder what they do, and so here we go. We have with us Eileen Wallace. She's been in the business for many years. She's a guru in PR, so let's hear from Eileen. Eileen, welcome, great to have you.
Hello, Mark. Thank you so much for having me on with you today.
So, Eileen, please tell us what in the world is it that you do and help us to understand.
Sure. So I am the managing partner of a regional communications consultancy called Wallace. We started in the late 1990s, so we have passed our 2 decades of working here in the GCC and the wider Middle East. And there are really 2 fundamental things that Wallace does for our clients. At the end of the day, we are problem solvers. So we really understand the business imperatives of our clients. And then we're storytellers. So we really enable their designated executives to tell the story of their business, to enable them to differentiate the services that they offer, the value that they offer to the market, whether that's a business to business type of environment or whether they're serving consumers directly here in the region. The majority of our clients are multinational companies from the US, from Europe, from Asia, but we do also work with some of the leading brands here and larger enterprises here in the GCC as well.
That's amazing. So why PR? What got you into that?
Communications is absolutely my passion. It's what I studied in the US. And when I came to the region in the 1990s, I was in the technology sector. I noticed that there was really a gap and an opportunity in the market for this type of storytelling. So, of course, there have been PR agencies and communications consultants in the GCC for decades. But we really saw an opportunity to bring this kind of American pragmatism, this can-do, will-do attitude of consultancy to the region, along with a knowledge of different industry sectors, whether that's technology, whether that's healthcare, whether that's retail, or also the opportunity to help companies navigate the different markets here in the region. So I think sometimes if you're sitting in Europe or the US, you kind of see the Middle East as one homogenous region. But you, Mark, someone who lives in the region, knows that doing business is very nuanced, even between Abu Dhabi and the rest of the UAE or Saudi Arabia or other markets here. So we needed to bring that kind of regional insight and expertise to the communication sector, and that's what we've been doing since the late 1990s.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because a lot of people view the Middle East just as this little block on a map, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it's as different as the culture of New York and Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
And everyone calls that America. So one of the things you talked about, and, you know, I've been in business for a long time, but a lot of people don't understand what kind of problems PR agencies solve. Could you help us understand the type of problems people would bring to a PR agency?
Absolutely. So communications is really at the heart of every business. There is internal communications, how the stakeholders and how the leadership of that organization share their insight and share the business direction with all of the people who they employ. So internal communications, communicating with your staff and your internal stakeholders, is critically important because they are the people out living and breathing your brand in the market every day. Then obviously external communications is critically important. This is directly with your stakeholders, directly with your customers, with your partners, but also through kind of the filter of media relations and how you are perceived by journalists, by members of the media, and how media organizations like a Gulf Business Magazine help to amplify the narrative and the story that different companies want to tell their customers and want to tell the market at large. So from sort of a macro perspective, that's what agencies like Wallace are doing every day. We're enabling private sector and public sector organizations to tell their own stories directly and indirectly in the market.
So I suppose back in 2008, you were really, really busy helping people get their stories straight during the financial crisis.
You know, PR and communications is not only a daily and a weekly and a monthly practice, it's also an hour by hour practice. And that is really the value that agencies like Wallace are able to bring to our clients, especially at a time like this. So when markets feel uncertain, when customers, clients, guests, whomever feel, or employees feel uncertain about the direction that a company or that a market is going in, communications is really that conduit and that opportunity to clarify, to reassure, to give direction, to give a path forward, to share knowledge and insight. And that's exactly what our clients have been doing during this time, and as you said, back in the 2000s, 2010s, and prior to that. And during times like this, it's vital that you have trust, that you have a sense of authority, that you have a sense of credibility, I think, in the message and in the information that you're sharing. So that's what working with agencies like Wallace enables our clients and their customers to have.
Brilliant. So in this massive experience you had, what was one of the most exciting moments that you've experienced?
You know, the most exciting part, and you have to remember that public relations, ideally, when it's done properly, is something that's really in the background. It's being prepared, it's anticipating what's coming up and being prepared and being able to capitalize on opportunities. But some of the things that have been really exciting for us is when we have had CEOs of major corporations maybe come to the Middle East for the first time. These could be for our technology clients or other clients. They come to the region, they experience the region firsthand, and we see them interacting with audiences, interacting with journalists, and really getting their message across and really telling the story of how and why they're relevant to this region. And you can see the impact that that has on the perception of their brand and on their business. And that is so exciting. That's exactly the purpose of Wallace as an agency. And it's thrilling when it comes together and we're able to deliver it.
Fantastic. Well, you know, I'd like to pursue this line of conversation much further, but today, what I wanted to ask you specifically about is, we're in the middle of a crisis, and I don't want to concentrate on the crisis. What I want to think about with you as an expert in, you know, the message and storytelling, what should we be preparing for the end of COVID? What comes after this COVID?
You know, one of the things that we have always focused on as an organization, as I mentioned in the beginning of our discussion, my background is in technology, and a key aspect of technology is in business continuity. It's in ensuring that businesses are prepared in case they get interrupted. And there are you know, entire industries that are created around this. And interestingly, it's one of those things that many companies fail to prepare for, or they fail to prepare if there is some sort of communication outage, or if their colleagues all need to work from home. So preparedness and anticipating that this not only could happen to you, but it is something that has happened to all of us, you know, not only here in the UAE or regionally, but around the world, that people's businesses and their livelihoods have been interrupted, and that disruption is not necessarily a negative thing, that it can be a positive thing if we prepare and we anticipate, and we're able to use the medium of communications and technology, frankly, to demonstrate that we are here for our colleagues, we are here for our clients, we are here for our end users, and there is continuity in our business. So that, I think, is one of the fundamental kind of lessons that companies are learning on a day-to-day basis during this time, and taking that forward and seeing how they're going to really benefit and incorporate these lessons learned once we get through this initial period.
Interesting. So, Eileen, how do you get strategic thinkers to help you craft the message, and how are you going to do that going forward?
You know, we have a very flat and a very merit-based agency. And that, I think, is a fundamentally different approach than you see from a lot of agencies in the region. But one of the most beneficial aspects of this period that we're going through right now is that as an organization that's been in business for 20 years and has longstanding relationships with our colleagues and longstanding relationships with many of our clients, is that clients are benefiting from this very strong, this very stable, this very seasoned, this very proactive team that's here to mobilize for them now. So strategy, you mentioned strategy needs to be at the heart of everything that people are doing now. There's no time, there's no opportunity, and there's no benefit for anything that's very tactical in nature, because it will be seen as weak and short term. So while companies need to be innovative and they need to be agile to adapt to their changing circumstances, as you said, they also do need to be strategic. And we're very lucky in that we have that kind of team and those processes in place to enable that strategy and to get it mobilized really on a daily and an hourly basis on our clients' behalf.
Now, quite a few of your clients, their businesses have been totally shut down. As they come...
Actually, not very many, to be honest with you, because our larger client relationships during the last several years have been in the healthcare space, which obviously is incredibly engaged at this moment, have been in transport and logistics, have been in real estate development, have been in technology and telecommunications. All of those businesses are very fundamental to the economy here, and I'm very happy, knock on wood, that there is continuity in those businesses. A smaller part of our business that focuses maybe more on retail or more on lifestyle or more on hospitality have seen some shifts in their business, but I don't have any client who has had to sort of shut their doors, fortunately, during this time.
Great. And so I'm happy to hear that.
Yes.
How are they shifting, or how are you advising them to shift their organization vis-a-vis the change in the way customers are taking services from companies?
Sure. So it's not business as usual, but it's open for business, and its business is continuing. And again, this is why communications is really at the root of these customer relationships, because customers want to be reassured. They want to know that the client is still available for them. So some of the things that we're doing now, that we've been doing the last couple of weeks, which are really interesting, we're doing more media readiness engagement, which might have traditionally been called media training, than we have ever before, but we're doing it via video call, like you and I are doing now. If, as happened earlier this week, if a Reuters or an Associated Press or a Gulf Business, for instance, wants to talk to one of our clients, they need to be available immediately from a video perspective, and they need to have this technology to engage. We're used to hosting periodic face-to-face press engagements for our clients. So in the last 2 weeks, we've had a number of these types of video calls. We had one last night at 8 o'clock with about 18 journalists in Saudi Arabia to talk about security, to talk about cloud infrastructure. They were dialing in from their dining room tables. It was one of the most successful events we've had with the specific technology client. So as long as our clients are ready to engage with us and take our advice and have a collaborative approach to continuing to communicate with their customers during this time, they're going to continue to be visible, and they're going to continue to be successful.
So how do you see the impact of the COVID on face-to-face physical presence? Is it going to diminish the importance of face-to-face physical presence? Can we translate it now to online meetings like this one?
Especially in this part of the world, in the Middle East, where there is so much emphasis placed on relationships, on trust, on authenticity, on credibility, on industry expertise. I don't think we're ever going to be able to completely, and nor would we want to, get away from that human interaction, being able to look someone in the eye when appropriate, to be able to shake someone's hand or sit next to them, at an iftar event, for instance, as Ramadan is coming. But we are increasingly doing a lot of kind of training about video calls calls about exactly what you and I are doing now, how to be as convincing a storyteller as possible in this medium, because none of us has the hard and fast answer of how long this specific period will last and the knock-on effect that it will have on our business. So if we are all committed to continuing to serve our customers, we need to be flexible and agile in finding these solutions together at the moment.
Great. How am I doing on my video call?
You're doing great. Nice natural light coming in. You're doing great.
Good. Question. What's the game-changing thought from the crisis?
The game-changing thought is, and I guess it maybe sounds a bit cliched, but to add value in real time, to understand from a customer-centric perspective how you're going to continue to serve the needs of your customers in this new environment. How are you going to look after them? How are you going to continue to facilitate that relationship and deliver value to them? So I think rather than looking at it from a negative frame, this specific period in the evolution of the business environment in the region gives us the opportunity to reflect on what is working. What have we learned from this time of being separate from each other and interacting using technology? What was not working? What was not serving our customers? And evolve our business strategy accordingly.
That excites me because honestly, I feel like the number one reason a business exists is to serve customers. And I think that a lot of businesses forgot that and figured that the number one reason the business existed was to serve its employees. But I think, I'm excited to see that shift. Customers are going to have different behaviors.
They are. Agreed.
So what advice are you giving to organizations now in terms of, this is how you need to talk to customers now, and this is how you're going to need to talk to customers in 2-3 months from now?
Well, we have to start at the fundamentals and make sure that they are in touch with their customers. So what are the communications channels that their customers want them to use to be in touch with them? So whether it's a hospital that we look after, or a community that we look after, or a B2B type of environment, we have to kind of audit their channels, make sure those customer pathways to communication are working. How do they need to be evolved? How do they need to be improved, and kind of learn the lessons from this time? I think that is the message for all of our organizations, and it is truly happening on an hour-by-hour basis as the directives and the insight that we get from a government and an official perspective changes.
Well, government is doing a fantastic job. I've never felt so safe in my life, really.
I completely agree with you. And I feel so fortunate when I look at the news headlines from different parts of the world. This is a human issue at the end of the day. And I think you're exactly right. If we look from a communications perspective, the leadership here in the UAE and the wider region have done a fantastic job in understanding the concerns of their citizens and their residents and communicating frequently, proactively, clearly, in an agile way, so everyone in society understands his and her role, the benefits that we're each deriving in terms of our health and our safety and security. And I, for one, really am thanking God that I am where I am during this time.
I agree. I mean, I saw issued by Sheikh Mohammed's office was the video, "We Will Win."
Yeah.
Very emotional, very touching. So let me ask you another question. What sort of values will change in society? How will people's values change? What will become important? What will disappear?
When people are negative sometimes about the public relations or the communications sector, they think that there is an emphasis on the flashy or the ephemeral or the stunts or the influencing, aspect of what we do. And I feel like one of the key lessons we're all learning from this time is really enabling us to focus on what is important: our family, our friends, our health, our community, access to the fundamental things we need in life, like food and, togetherness and reading, or access to knowledge, exercise. This period is enabling all of us to really take stock from both a personal and a professional perspective. And I think the values, at least from my company, that will remain after this period are expertise, reliability, proactivity, positivity. These are all kind of the fundamentals that we bring, whether it's to a new relationship or a long-standing client relationship. And that is what it has served us and enabled us to serve our clients for the last 20 years.
You're very good at what you do.
Thank you.
Eileen,
it's something I'm very personally passionate and enthused about. So if that comes through, then I'm happy.
It does. I have a closing question. It's about, they discover a cure or a vaccine, and we have the indication that we can go back to a little bit different life. We're no longer in isolation. What's going to happen? What's going to be the effect? How are people going to react? What's your point of view, just out of curiosity?
This is one of the times that it has been so exciting to work with some of the leading healthcare providers in the world, because we see that from their perspective, going back to business as usual means people being healthy and returning to their homes and returning to their loved ones. And actually, I'm so proud and it's so gratifying to work with world-class healthcare organizations whose research that they're doing here in the region is actually impacting the wider region and the world, or it's being taken back to the United States, etc. So what do I feel like will happen once there is a cure? I hope that people will take away with them the positive aspects of this time we've lived through, in terms of the flexibility, in terms of the ability to work remotely, in terms of the online community and the sharing of expertise. And then we'll leave aside things that weren't working or weren't serving our clients in the best possible way. So we'll come away with the aspects of communications and of business that provide real value to the customer at the end of the day.
Great. I have something I want to ask you, and I'm going to spring it on you. You have no idea. I want to know, what are your 5 leadership traits for this period of time?
My 5 leadership traits, I would say, number 1 is consistency. So this is so important for me with my colleagues in the agency who I'm not seeing in person. I miss them so much, but consistency in terms of speaking to them like this on a daily basis, consistency in knowing that if my client needs me, I am here for him or her immediately and at all times. So consistency is important. Proactivity, so using this opportunity not to hide and be depressed, but to proactively kind of problem solve. What can we do differently? Seeing it as an opportunity, I think is very important. Separate but related to that is positivity. So being upbeat. Have been a glass half full person my entire life. So I will continue to be that way. Clarity. I don't know if you can see number 4. They're all C words, but mostly clarity. So understanding the purpose of what we're doing, making my to-do list every day, having the flexibility to change around, but knowing the clarity of purpose of what we're doing. And longevity maybe is the last one. Our agency has been in business for more than 20 years. We're here for the long term. We really see ourselves as part of the fabric of the community here. So reassuring not only my colleagues, but our clients that we are here for the long term, and we have, a long-term vision for the agency and for the region. So those are my 5.
Brilliant. Well, that's fantastic. I know I put you on the spot there. So, Eileen, thank you so much for coming on with us, and thank you for sharing your thoughts. I hope that everyone gets to learn as much from you as I just did. It was very informative and very interesting.
Mark, thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure to spend some time with you today, and I'm wishing you and all of the community continued good health in this time.
Thank you. So everybody, thank you for tuning in to Gulf Business Academy. This was Mark Dickinson with Eileen Wallis. We thank you for watching, and come back for the next episode. Thank you.
Take care.